I wanted to read this once again, just to make sure I had read it. I'm not absolutely certain if I had read from The Four Cardinal Virtues by Josef Pieper. This is one of the. I just can't. I mean, let me. Okay, let's see. Well, let's see what Donovan. How badly. Look at. Okay, let's see. There's. You can see all the lines and writing in there. Yeah, that's the first. Yeah. Look. Got more writing. Let's see. Got stickers. Let's see. Yeah. How am I not able to figure this out? There we go. Let's see. Yep. More writing. I think I even put in there. Yes, Quintus. For Quintus Curtius. But one, a Phrygian called Quintus, became afraid when he saw the wild animals. It was this very man who had presented himself voluntarily to the court, persuaded others to do the same. By repeated urging, the proconsul brought him to sacrifice and to forswear Christ. Therefore, brethren, we have no praise for those who offer themselves voluntarily. This is not the counsel of the gospel. I thought that was kind of interesting. So, all right. So this is one of these books I'll never be able to ever sell. Hopefully I'll be able to leave a whole bookshelf that'll just be all the books, all the markings in it and stuff, so that if at some point if it ever becomes handy, one of those weird things men think hey, well, maybe at some point someone will find this useful. I have this fucking thing. I just keep it around because maybe, somebody else will want it. You don't want to throw out something useful, that might be useful one of these days, like a sword. You buy a sword. You don't know when you might use it, anyway. Endurance and attack. To be brave is not the same as to have no fear. Indeed, fortitude actually rules out a certain kind of fearlessness, namely the sort of fearlessness that is based upon a false appraisal and evaluation of reality. Such fearlessness is either blind and deaf to real danger, or else it is the result of a perversion of love. For fear and love depend upon each other. A person who does not love does not fear either. He who loves falsely fears falsely. One who has lost the will to live does not fear death. But this indifference to life is far removed from genuine fortitude. It is indeed an inversion of the natural order. Fortitude recognizes, acknowledges, and maintains the natural order of things. The brave man is not deluded. He sees that the injury he suffers is an evil. He does not undervalue and falsify reality. He likes the taste of reality as it is. Real. He does not love death, nor does he despise life. Fortitude presupposes, in a certain sense, that man is afraid of evil. Its essence lies not in knowing no fear, but in not allowing oneself to be forced into evil by fear, or to be kept by fear from the realization of good. Whoever exposes himself to a danger, even for the sake of good, without knowledge of its perils, either from instinctive optimism, nothing can possibly happen to me, or from firm confidence in his own natural strength and fighting fitness, does not on that account possess the virtue of fortitude. It is possible to be genuinely brave only when all those real or apparent assurances fail. That is, when the natural man is afraid, not, however, when he is afraid out of unreasoning timidity, but when, with a clear view of the real situation facing him, he cannot help being afraid, and indeed with good reason. If in this supreme test, in face of which the braggart falls silent, and every heroic gesture is paralyzed, a man walks straight up to the cause of his fear and is not deterred from doing that which is good. if moreover he does so for the sake of good, which ultimately means for the sake of God, and therefore not from ambition or from fear of being taken for a coward. This man, and he alone, is truly brave. To maintain this position is not to depreciate in the least the value of natural optimism and natural strength and fighting fitness. Neither is it their vital significance or their great ethical importance thereby diminished. It is, however, important to understand wherein lies the actual nature of fortitude as a virtue, and to realize that it lies beyond the realm of the merely vital. In the face of martyrdom, all natural optimism becomes senseless, and the hands of the man most fit for battle are literally tied. But as martyrdom is the essential and the highest achievement of fortitude, it is only in this supreme test that its true nature stands revealed, and the yardstick for its less heroic realizations is provided, for it belongs to the nature of virtue to fix its gaze upon the ultimate. Fortitude, consequently, does not mean mere fearlessness. That man alone is brave who cannot be forced, through fear of transitory and lesser evils, to give up the greater and actual good, thereby bring upon himself that which is ultimately and absolutely dreadful. This fear of the ultimately dreadful belongs as the reverse of the love of God to the absolutely necessary foundations of fortitude and of all virtue. He who feareth the Lord will tremble at nothing. Ecclesiastes 34:16. So whoever realizes the good by facing what is dreadful, by facing injury, is truly brave. This facing the dreadful has two aspects, which form the foundation for the two basic acts of fortitude: endurance and attack. Endurance is more of the essence of fortitude than attack. This proposition of St. Thomas may seem strange to us, and many of our contemporaries may glibly dismiss it as expression of a typical medieval and pacifist philosophy and doctrine. Such an interpretation, however, would hit wide of the mark. Thomas in no way means to rate endurance in itself higher than attack, or to propose that in every case it is braver to endure than to attack. What then does his proposition mean? It can mean only that the true position of fortitude is that extremely perilous situation described above, in which to suffer and endure is objectively the only remaining possibility of resistance, and that it is in this situation that fortitude primarily and ultimately proves its genuine character. It is, of course, an integral part of St. Thomas's conception of the world, of the Christian conception of the world, that man may be placed in a position to be injured or killed for the realization of the good, and that evil, considered in terms of this world, may appear as an overwhelming power. This possibility, we know, has been obliterated from the worldview of enlightened liberalism. To suffer and endure is furthermore something passive only in an external sense. Thomas himself raises the objection: if fortitude is a perfection, then how can enduring be its essential act? For enduring is pure passivity, and active doing is more perfect than passive suffering. And he replies, enduring comprises a strong activity of the soul, namely a vigorous grasping of and clinging to the good. And only from this stout-hearted activity can the strength to support the physical and spiritual suffering of injury and death be nourished. Cannot be denied that a timid Christianity, overwhelmed and frightened by the unchristian criteria of an ideal of fortitude that is activistically heroic, has smothered this fact in general consciousness and misconstrued it in the sense of a vague and resentful pacifism. The same applies, and even to a higher degree, to the current notion of the virtue of patience. For Thomas, patience is a necessary component of fortitude. We are apt to regard this coordination of patience with fortitude as incongruous, not only because we easily mistake the nature of fortitude for activism, but first and foremost because in our conception, patience, in sharp contrast to the ideas of classical theology, has come to mean indiscriminate, self-immolating, crabbed, joyless, spineless submission to whatever evil is met with, or worse, deliberately sought out. Patience, however, is something quite other than the indiscriminate acceptance of any and every evil. This was very important for me during the campaign. I was reading this during the campaign, and this just it was falling, just raining this on me for the last 4 years. 4 or 5 years it's been raining, just falling right off the shelf, right at the right time. Patience, however, is something quite other than the indiscriminate acceptance of any and every evil. Quote, the patient man is not the one who does not flee from evil, but the one who does not allow himself to be made inordinately sorrowful thereby. To be patient means to preserve cheerfulness and serenity of mind in spite of injuries that result from the realization of the good. Patience does not imply the exclusion of energetic, forceful activity, but simply, explicitly and solely, the exclusion of sadness and confusion of heart. Patience keeps man from the danger that his spirit may be broken by grief and lose its greatness. Patience, therefore, is not the tear-veiled mirror of a broken life, as one might easily assume in the face of what is frequently presented and praised under this name, but the radiant embodiment of the ultimate integrity. In the words of Hildegard of Bingen, patience is the pillar which nothing can soften. And Thomas, following Holy Scripture, Luke 21:19, summarizes with superb precision, through patience, man possesses his soul. Later, y'all.